You are listening to the Recruiting Hawgs Podcast with myself, Mason Choate, and Alex Schrader, recruiting analyst over at HogBeat.com. This is a podcast part of the HogBeat Podcast Network, so go check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Just type in HogBeat Pods, and you'll find it there. You can find the Recruiting Hawgs Podcast, the Diamond Hawgs Podcast, a couple more in store for you come football season and basketball season, if that gives you any idea of what they would be about. And of course, during baseball season, we have the Diamond Hawgs Podcast with myself and Robert Stewart. Today, we weren't planning on doing this episode, Alex, so soon compared because we just put our first episode out on Monday, but Arkansas landed 2 commitments between then and now. So we're recording this because we kind of feel like we have to. You know, you don't want to put a whole 3 or 4 days between 2 guys who just committed. And those 2 guys who did commit are Davion Dozier and Brad Spence. What are your general thoughts on that, Alex?
Yeah, what a week for this Arkansas staff. You're able to land 2 of your top remaining targets in that 2023 class, and both of them are ball players. You look at them, and they're both kind of, freaks of nature in terms of their size. I know Dozier's 6'4", 200 or 185 pounds, and you've got Spence who's right around like 6'2", 230, I believe. And those are big guys, and they're going to be able to make some impact in their respective positions. I know Spence's film, he's really, you look at him and he's a versatile linebacker. He's got size, he's got speed. Teams were offering him both at that edge defensive end spot and linebacker. Arkansas is bringing him in as a linebacker, but he's able to get after the quarterback as well as, being a tackling machine. Stops the run very, very well. Had 72 tackles, 11 of which were for a loss last year, including, a sack and a half and 6 pass breakups. So really impressive stats from him last season. And then you've also got Davion Dozier coming in out of Moody, Alabama, who committed yesterday. Watch this kid's film. I put out a rapid reaction to it, a HogBeat reaction to it. Go watch this kid's film, and you're going to see kind of what he's going to be able to bring to the table. He's a huge receiver. He's fast. He's got wheels. And the staff is even in a story that he did with Rivals national analyst Sean Williams. He said that the staff told him that he reminds them of Traylon Burks. So I think I talked about that last week, but that's kind of what the staff is expecting to get in this. And a tall receiver that's able to move and be athletic and really get himself open and find a way to come down with the ball. So huge commitments for the staff this week.
And you mentioned Brad Spence. We're going to have him on the podcast later on. We chatted with him for a little bit. He talked about Fayetteville, what drew him in, the Texas pipeline. So we'll get into all that with Brad Spence later on this episode. The goal is to talk to Davion Dozier next week. We're in contact with him. Hopefully we can make that happen. I don't think it should be an issue. But I want to ask you about Dozier. You mentioned that the staff said that he reminds them of Traylon Burks. When I look at his measurables and watch some of his tape, my first thought, as far as, recent guys go, Trey Knox, just the size. And I feel like, he's got the height. If he comes in, puts on like 20 pounds, I feel like he could be a Trey Knox type guy. Now we know that Knox has since converted to a tight end. He's a very, very large individual now, but I don't know. I don't know if you watched a whole lot of Trey Knox high school tape or a whole lot of Trey Knox at Arkansas so far, Alex, but can you kind of see that?
Yeah, I mean, he's got that size, and he's certainly got the frame for if he's able to put on that weight to move over to that tight end position. But with what you've got in that receiver room right now, and especially with what you're bringing in at that tight end position, you're not really going to need someone to convert like that. I think this is more of just a vertical threat for the staff. And I mean, heck, if you can have someone that was able to do what Trey Knox did in his freshman season and carry that on throughout a couple of years, you're more than happy to take that if you're Kenny Guyton in this offense.
Yeah, I think that's kind of more what I was talking about. I wasn't expecting Dozier to convert to a tight end, but I think that he could, kind of like you said. I mean, I feel like he could easily be a red zone threat, and that's just solely based off of his height. And, some people were talking about on our message board, the trough over at HogBeat.com. If you subscribe, you can get on the message board. I mean, a lot of great information that provides us with information that we might not know already. And you can get that yourself as well if you subscribe. But some people were saying, his route running isn't amazing yet, but if he can just be that guy, kind of like Traylon Burks, who, I mean, let's just say it, Traylon Burks was not drafted because he's a great route runner. And so if he can be that guy that can just, go up and win one-on-ones like Traylon Burks did, then yeah, he can be a great wide receiver. You agree?
Yeah, you can't teach. You can teach route running. You can't teach speed. You can't teach being 6'4". So both of those are pretty important measurables that you're gonna definitely take if you're a staff, and then hope that you can teach the former.
So if you look at Dozier, though, he's a 5.63 star according to Rivals. Now, we both know, and a lot of people know, that the Rivals ranking system is flawed to say the least. And we're saying that as people who work for Rivals. So do you see some of these guys in this 23 class, which Arkansas now has 23 commitments in? Do you see some of these guys getting a rankings boost from Rivals? Because I feel like there's a lot of guys in this class. The first guy I think of is Malachi Singleton, who's a 5.73 star, just competed at the Elite 11. Like, this guy has to get a boost. And I feel like some of the other guys who are probably 3 stars or maybe low 4 stars or something like that might get a boost as well.
Yeah, I think Malachi is the clear one that's severely underrated. He was just named as one of the Elite 11 quarterbacks in this country. So if you're looking at it in terms of that, that's at least 4-star material there. And then you've also got guys. I think Shamar Easter is underrated as well, despite him being a Rivals 250 player. He looks like Calvin Johnson on his highlights. He looks like Megatron. He goes out there and just makes everyone else look small, has the speed to be able to run with anybody. He is one I wouldn't be surprised to see used more as a receiver than a tight end at times with the 3 that Arkansas is bringing in. I think on the defensive side of things, you've got guys like Brad Spence who potentially could bump up. It really all depends on what camps these kids are going to and how they're able to show out in their senior season. If you're able to go out there and dominate, then it's hard not to see a ratings boost. But at the end of the day, ratings really don't matter. It's nice for fans and it's nice for us to talk about, and it's good for, I guess, the first tier of offers to come through. But if you can play, you can play, and that's going to translate to the college level better than a 3 or a 4-star will.
Yeah, another guy. Before we move on, I want to ask you about was Isaiah Augustave. We've heard it different ways, but I've seen he was in the news. I don't know if you saw it, but I mean, it seems like he's bumping his name up a little bit too. He's the only running back commit in this class, which makes sense because I mean, like right now they're loaded at running back. They've got a ton of guys who are young and they're gonna be there for a while. They're on the roster right now, which makes sense why they only have one guy committed in this class. But it seems like he could end up being a great commit.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Jimmy Smith got his guy. Like you said, he's really starting to make some headway. Only a 5.6 when he committed to Arkansas, still only a 5.6, but he's someone that is able to, he's kind of shifty with the ball. He runs pretty well. It's going to be, like you said, the running back room is loaded. No matter what you get in this class, you're probably going to be pretty happy with your running backs over the next couple of years. And you've got a stud running back in Braylon Russell coming in that 2024 class. So it really is just finding someone that fits what you want to do as an offense. And I think the staff got their guy.
So as of now, 2023, they have 23 commits. You have a future cast in for Vyson Lang, offensive tackle. We've heard, and I've talked with you, we feel like that might be the final commit in the 2023 class. They'll move on to 24. Of course, they'll probably bring in some transfers, and there'll be guys that are going to transfer out. But we feel like Lang is the last guy. If he does commit to Arkansas, he's probably their last guy in the 23 class.
Yeah, I that's what I've got. You're not going to turn down a guy like Marcus Steele, I don't think, but I don't think the staff feels like they're in the lead for him. So that kind of comes in where you've got to kind of allocate your resources a little bit. Being able to wrap up a class this early before you get through the end of July. Well, I guess whenever Lang would commit, but you've essentially got all your targets on the board and ready to go by the time you get through July. If you're able to land Lang, perfect. If not, you've already got a huge head start over a lot of schools on that 2024 class. And being an SEC team, it's not like you're trying to recruit to a group of 5 program. You're able to bring in that top talent. And if you're able to have another solid season like you did last year, it'll be really interesting to see what this staff can do.
So last thing here before we get to Brad Spence, I want to ask you, Alex, if you're just looking at this 23 class, what is the strong part of this class? You look at it and you're like, they did a great job of hitting this position. And then is there a spot where you're like, I feel like they probably could have done better here? I guess I look at it and I feel like, with the way the defensive line looks currently, the roster currently, I feel like they could have gone out and maybe gotten some more defensive linemen, some bigger commits on the D line, but I don't know if that's something that you feel like they should have done. Cause I mean, you're covering recruiting more heavily than I am. So curious what you think.
Yeah, I like what the staff's got on the defensive line. I think certainly if you can bring in a guy like Marcus Steele, that's a big boost to a program. But really all around, I like what this class has to offer. You have some solid linebackers, two solid receivers now in Micah Teese and Davion Dozier. We talked about Malachi Singleton and Isaiah Augustave. You've got 5 or 6 solid defensive backs that you're going to be able to run with going over through the next couple of years. And then I really think the shining star in this class is the tight end group. You've got Shamar Easter, you've got Luke Hayes, and you've got Jaden Ham, who are all really 3 solid, high-rated tight ends who can all play. And this offense, Arkansas has been dubbed tight end U by a couple of people with Hunter Henry, and then some of the other guys that have come through over the last couple of years. So it's going to be interesting to see. And you've got Dal Loggins, who is a very good coach and is going to get these guys ready to go. I'm very interested to see what the scheme is going to look like with a 3 tight end group like this.
All right. I think that's going to be it for us here on, the update. I guess I should talk about baseball too. I forget because I feel like this is more of a football thing because football recruiting is king, but it's the Recruiting Hawgs podcast. We got to hit everything. Arkansas did land a commitment from former Oklahoma catcher Hudson Polk. I just look at this guy. He didn't have a whole lot of at-bats. I'm pretty sure he had just 16 at-bats during his time at Oklahoma, appeared in 22 games. Or no, here we go. Here, I'm reading through my own story. He had 22 at-bats, 16 at-bats last season. Not a guy that has a whole lot of stuff on paper. So we don't really know exactly what he's going to look like as far as, looking at the stats, seeing what his sample size was at Oklahoma. I don't think that they brought this guy in to be a starter. Dave Van Horn mentioned they want 2.5 catchers, the half being a guy who is a catcher / another position. He mentioned specifically a catcher / outfielder. Even more specifically, he mentioned a right fielder. So for those who want to dig on there, we have a guy on the board, Riley. He likes to dig into all that stuff. Riley, if you're listening, then maybe you could dig and find out the guy that played specifically right field and catcher as well. But the way I look at it is they have Parker Rowland and they have Hudson Polk at catcher, which is the position that people say this is the position that Arkansas really needs to target right now. And you got to think there's another guy coming. There has to be a big splash guy. If not, then the staff, Dave Van Horn, Nate Thompson, they see something in these 2 guys that I guess myself and others do not see. I mean, Roland was a guy that mashed last season at the plate, but it was against lesser competition. I don't really think he can be an SEC catcher. I would love it if he proved me wrong, and same for Polk. So that's what's going on the baseball front. And I think at the very least, and I mentioned this on the board, like they have another body at catcher now, which is huge. You need depth. So it's good for the team to have a guy that, really he can just be another guy to get there and catch some balls. He can be a bullpen type catcher if he needs to be. And heck, who knows? He could end up being the starting catcher for Arkansas next year. I have no clue. But Alex, you want to plug some stuff that you have coming up, and then we'll get to Brad Spence?
Yeah, so later this afternoon, we'll be releasing our new and updated Hog board, which is the 2023 football recruiting big board. We'll have the offense coming out today, and then the defense hopefully coming out early next week or maybe even this weekend, depending on how much free time I've got. And then also we are doing the town hall on the board right now. So if you're listening to this Thursday night when it drops, go ahead over, subscribe to HogBeat. You can join in, ask me your recruiting questions, and I'll answer them. or you can wait till next week. We do it every single week, but there will be a story up on the site tomorrow as well, Friday, which has 3 free preview questions if you aren't quite ready to pull that trigger on a subscription yet. And then the rest of the full recap for anyone who is one of our premium subscribers.
Yeah, and then also, along with Alex's town hall, we're going to start up a town hall with Jackson Collier. You know him as JC Hoops. He's going to have a basketball town hall as well. He's as plugged in as anybody covering Arkansas basketball. I'm being 100% when I say that. So you want to have that subscription so you can ask him your Razorback basketball questions. And then as Alex does, he'll turn it into his own premium story. We'll give you a few questions for free. But if you want all of the inside information, you can go to HogBeat.com. And we're doing a lot of great things over there. Excited about the future of HogBeat. And yeah, Alex, good stuff today. We're going to talk to Brad Spence now. And then I guess we'll have an episode out next week. Hopefully we'll be talking to Davion Dozier. And this is the Recruiting Hawgs podcast. This is the stuff you're going to get. This is what people want. This is what we want to give to the people. So we appreciate you listening, and we're excited to keep this series going. Here is Brad Spence. All right, we now welcome on Brad Spence, 3-star linebacker out of Klein Forest in Texas, just committed to Arkansas on Tuesday. Brad, you woke up as a Hog. We're recording on Wednesday. Woke up as a Hog today. How does that feel?
And it feels great, bro. No better feeling. It's a blessing to be here.
So just going into the decision to choose Arkansas, that's a big choice to choose the school that you're going to go play football at. Broad question, why Arkansas? What drew you into Arkansas?
And I just want to be better at football. I mean, Arkansas can provide that for me. I can learn a thing or two up there. So I went to Arkansas, and I liked what the culture had going on. I like what we got to offer.
What do you think about Coach Scherer and the scheme that the Arkansas linebackers play with?
He knows what he talked about. I've seen his play call, man. I mean, they get to the ball, so he's doing something right, and I want to be a part of that. He recruited me well.
So it seems like since Coach Scherer got here, the Razorback linebackers have been a bigger part of the defense. They've been racking up the tackles. Is that something that's attractive to you? I mean, last season they had 3 guys with 100-plus tackles.
Yeah, man, that's unbelievable. So I have to get a part of that environment and that facility.
You talked to the media a little bit about your official visit after you took it. Could you dive in a little bit more about what your time in Fayetteville was like and how it helped you, make this decision?
Going into Fayetteville, I did not expect it to be like how it was. I mean, when I first got there, it was like the fans we were out eating, and the fans were like chanting my name. It was like, what the heck? It was a crazy moment. And my host Jordan Crook, he showed me around. He showed me a lot of things, man, that I never thought it would be in Fayetteville. So yeah, it was unbelievable.
So it seems like this pipeline to Texas that Arkansas has, especially with the linebackers, has been very successful. What is it about that? I mean, is Arkansas a brand in Texas that, people talk about a lot? Or, you said you didn't expect Fayetteville to be what it was.
Yeah, I never been to Arkansas, and people don't talk about Arkansas like that. I just never heard of it being like the city how I'm used to being in. So I had to check it out, and it's very different from Texas.
Yeah, and speaking of what Texas has to offer for Arkansas, for the Arkansas football program, you're now the 5th commit in this class from Texas. Was there any extra pressure from some of those guys, that you've played against or that you grew up around?
What like the guys who committed with me?
Yeah, the guys who like Jalen Braxton, Carson Dean, guys
yeah.
in the class with you.
Dallas Young, they all reached out to me, saying, "Hey, bro, let's make this happen. Let's make a culture here in Arkansas." So I was like, let's do it. They didn't peer pressure me, man. I was on the visit with Jalen Braxton, and he was a good guy. So I want to be around guys like that.
So it seems like for Arkansas, they're kind of trying to get into a more athletic type linebacker. They got a guy in Drew Sanders coming in who's a great athlete, transfer from Alabama. As far as you go, do you see that you can provide Arkansas with a more versatile type guy?
Yes, sir. I mean, I see my play style similar to his or even more developed. I mean, I think I have a good play style for the Arkansas. My play style fits in that defense.
Yeah, and right now you're currently rated as a high 3-star by Rivals. What do you think of that ranking, and what are you looking to do in this upcoming season to kind of prove to people that you should be higher if you think that's something that should happen?
Yeah, when I see 3-star, I just like, hey, because some people say 4, some people say 3, and I'm looking to make plays and make some to stand out other than from other people. So I have to make some plays, so make more plays to get my rankings up.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. Nobody agrees with the Rivals rankings ever. So, I mean, we work for Rivals, but I mean, it's never completely accurate.
Yeah.
But Brad, I want to ask you, this is a question that a lot of, our listeners, Razorback fans want to hear, but when you get to Fayetteville, when you're wearing that Razorback uniform, what can they expect from you?
Leadership, lead by example, and I'm a good guy. I mean no trouble. I love my fans. I mean, it's something you dream of. So I'm thankful for it.
Now that you're in the class, do you have any idea of some names? We've heard it from some of the other guys before of guys that they're kind of targeting next to help join the class. Do you have any names kind of circled that you're gonna help try and bring in and become the next member of this class?
I don't really know too many guys with Arkansas offer, but I mean, the guys in my hometown, they're all going to Texas or something else. They looking at Arkansas, but I'll see. I mean, I don't have any guys I could just name off the top of my head.
All right, Brad, man. We appreciate your time. Alex, you got one more?
Yeah, I do have one more. So your brother, Trent, also picked up an offer from Arkansas on that official visit.
Right.
How much did it mean to you that the staff, saw him and was willing to bring y'all in? He looks like a big kid when you see him, that they're willing to have that early faith in him and potentially bring y'all in as a package deal.
Man, I was happy for him. I feel like I played a big role in that. So I was like, I felt good as a big brother and as a leader to him. So I got to guide him to the right path. So that something tells me I'm doing it right. So that tells me that I'm on the right path to getting where he needs to be.
There you go, Brad. Hey, man, we appreciate your time. Looking forward to watching you play in a Razorback uniform.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right.